Hi, this is Gordon of October Library here with my first book review on this channel. Today I'm reviewing Clive Barker's Books of Blood Volumes 1 to 3. This edition I'm holding was published in 1998. The first three volumes of Books of Blood were first published in 84, 85, and 86. Now, in the past, I have tried Clive Barker's novels such as The Damnation Game, Reeve World, The Thief of Always, and Cabal. However, I didn't enjoy those novels as I didn't like the slow pacing of them, too much filler when it wasn't needed at times, and a real chore to just read it. Now, from what I've heard is that his short fiction is a lot better, and when I saw a copy of Books of Blood, I picked it up to see if those comments I heard about were true or not. Another thing to point out here is how much praise both this collection got along with its author, Clive Barker, with one author, Stephen King, stating after reading Volume 1 of Books of Blood, "I saw the future of horror, and his name is Clive Barker." This comment has been slapped on all of Clive's novels. Is it true, or was Stephen King and other critics overhyping this author? Well, let's see what I think. When I started on Volume 1, it was off to a good start. The stories were interesting, yet disturbing at times with its violence and gore. There wasn't any extra filler, no slow pacing, and the right amount of detail to understand what was going on within the stories. However, when I read Volume 2 is when things started going downhill, with only one story I liked and the rest I didn't care for, but on Volume 3 was the most disappointing with not a single story I enjoyed and felt Clive missed the mark of what he was going for. Before I say my final thoughts on Books of Blood Volume 1 and 3, I'll say what were the best stories. My favorites are The Midnight Meat Train, The Ottery and the Jack, Pig Blood Blues, In the Hills, The Cities, and Hell's Event. However, while Book of Blood was alright, however, I didn't like Sex, Death, and Starshine that much. Volume 2 only had one good story, Hell's Event. Volume 3 didn't have any stories I liked, with Rawhair Rex being the most disappointing. Now I will talk about what happens in the following stories. Spoiler alert, as I will discuss the endings in the following stories. The Midnight Meat Train. Office worker Craftsman, who loves New York City, spends most of his time working and traveling across the city through the subway system. However, terror and outrage from the public has gripped the city into fear as a serial killer has been killing passengers on the subway. Their bodies are never found, only their clothes or any personal belongings, as they're always found where they were last seen. After a long, tiring day of work, Craftsman is about to board the subway train when he sees a man about to attack a woman armed with a hammer and hacksaw. He is quickly taken down by two Marines, along with the woman, who breaks his jaw with his own hammer, then is arrested by police. While people think the butcher has been caught, Craftsman doesn't believe it was him. After getting onto the subway train, Craftsman falls asleep. He later awakens after passing out to find the passengers who were sitting close by are gone, and there's blood on the floor. Checking the next car over, Craftsman is shocked to see the passengers being hacked by the real serial killer, Mahogany. When he notices Craftsman, he goes after him. Craftsman runs through each car, finding more bodies being hung on meat hooks, organs removed, and severed limbs. When Mahogany has Craftsman cornered, he goes to kill him with a meat cleaver, but Craftsman arms himself with a knife he found sticking out of a hung body and dodges Mahogany's attack, causing him to miss and get his meat cleaver stuck in a hung body. Craftsman stabs Mahogany in the neck, killing him. The train comes to a stop, where Craftsman learns the true nature of what's going on. Thin and skinny creatures board the train, calling themselves City Fathers, telling Craftsman they built New York City, controlling it, and they need raw flesh to stay alive. In order to keep Craftsman silent about this, they remove his tongue and make him the new butcher to keep feeding the City Fathers. Against his will, Craftsman has no choice but to become the butcher. The Honoring and the Jack. A demon is tasked with driving Jack Polo to his breaking point after his mother made a deal to sell his soul but died before she can carry out the ritual. However, the Honoring hasn't been able to push Jack towards the edge for a few years. It came close when the Honoring pushed Jack's wife off a balcony to her death. It has grown frustrated and has broken a few rules, which its master Beelzebub warns if it fails, it will be punished badly. While nobody but Jack can see the Honoring, he has been ignoring it to keep it from winning. The Honoring tries desperately to break Jack's will, causes cruel pranks, murders 3 of his cats, and during the Christmas holidays with his daughters, It pushes one out of her bed, causes a mess in the living room by spinning the Christmas tree, then explodes a turkey that Jack had cooked. Jack has had enough and goes outside, which the Honoring chases after him, swearing to tear his fucking head off, but just when his fingers touch Jack's flesh, it has broken another rule. Now Jack has full control over the Honoring, which he tells the Honoring it must do everything he wants it to do. The Honoring asks Jack if he will have a chance to go to heaven and be forgiven for all the nasty things he has done to him. Jack replies, "We'll see about that," as the two enter the house together. Pig Blood Blues. Ex-cop Redman is starting work at a Borsal Remain Center for Troubled Youth. While working, he learns a boy named Henry has escaped from the Borsal but is back. However, the staff tell Redman that Henry has hung himself in his own room, but the young teens state that Henry is here and they have seen him. However, further investigation, Redman finds no records of this event. He also notices how the children are drawn to the pigs, which the Borsal has a small den which the children feed, clean, and look after the pigs. Redman begins digging around and learns the children are being used as part of a ritual, and Henry was fed to a pig, which he came back as a ghost so he could live forever. Redman goes to find Henry, but is attacked by a guard, which he kills him and is brought to the den. There he sees Henry riding on a pig, then is eaten alive. In the hills, the cities. A gay couple, Jude and Mick, are traveling across Yugoslavia. They get into a heated fight of where to go next. Jude has had enough of seeing religious buildings, while Mick wants to see more. They stop their car, get out, and have sex, which calms them down. However, their vacation is cut short when two cities, Povolac and Povojov, take part in a ritual that happens every 10 years as the citizens of both cities form into giants made of people. The ritual goes horribly wrong when a member of Povojov giant feels they are unworthy to be part of the giant, which collapses as millions of bodies fall out of the sky. While having a break, they notice something flowing from the sky, and a few moments later, a river of blood washes along the road. Jude and Mick are freaked out, believing the Soviets had shot down a plane. However, when they go to investigate what happened, they are horrified to find the city of Povojov covered in millions of dead bodies. Suddenly, a man steals their car and goes to the city Povolac, where they catch up to him, and when they catch up to him, the man kills those who are behind this ritual. He tells Jude and Mick about the ritual, then kills himself. When they see the giant of Povolac that's now wandering aimlessly, Jude is horrified by it while Mick is drawn to it. While seeking shelter at a farm owned by an elderly couple, the Povolac giant passes by and crushes the farm, which the elderly couple is driven mad and flee the scene. Mick runs towards the giant and becomes part of it as Jude is crushed by it. He lays in his blood, feeling betrayed as the giant Povolac walks away towards the hills. And this is the only story I like from Volume 2, Hell's Event. Hell's Event. Every 100 years, Hell enters a race against the human race in order to rule the world. Unknown to the other marathon runners, a demon is among them and causes most of the marathon runners to fall out of the race by a series of accidents. A athlete, Joel, who is taking part in this marathon, finds out about this event and realizes the stake that the human race is in danger if he loses. Joel tries to catch up to the demon, but is unable to pass him. Joel then tackles him to the ground, and the demon bites his face off, which allows the other human marathon runners to cross the finish line. By doing this, Hell has lost the race, and Joel saves the world from being ruled from Hell. Gregory, a Satanist politician who made the deal with the devil, is punished for his failure and is gruesomely slain. Now Hell must wait 100 years to try to win again. And for the stories I didn't like the most, for the most disappointing one, I picked Rawhead Rex. I was looking forward to reading it after seeing a body count of it on YouTube, of this monster causing mayhem in the English countryside. However, the story was dull, with some of the death scenes not that gory, or sometimes characters were killed off camera. The human characters were flat or unlikable, and the ending sucked. Confessions of a Pornographer's Shroud. When I first read that title, I thought it was going to be about a serial killer who takes pictures of his victims both after sex and death. However, what I got was a man who's mistaken for a pornographer and is killed, which he comes back as a vengeful ghost that murders those who killed him. At one point in the story, the ghost has to carefully buy a gun, which I thought was silly. And the weirdest story was Son of Celluloid, which is about an escaped convict who is wounded during a shootout with police and dies behind a movie theater screen. The criminal's corpse grows a tumor which gains a conscience for the films, which it attacks people by recreating its own twisted versions of Mickey Mouse, John Wayne, and Marilyn Monroe. This was a really hard story to follow, and overall didn't like it. The rest of the stories in Volume 2 and 3 were just weird, not scary, or at times hard to follow what was going on, and that leads me to my final thoughts of this collection. Overall, I give the first volume of Books of Blood 4 out of 5 stars. It was the best out of the other 2 volumes. And as for Volume 2 and 3, it gets 1 out of 5 stars for not having enough engaging stories, with the only one, Hell's Event, being the best. At times, I felt Clive could have written something better than what he chose to write in Volume 2 and 3. As for the author Clive Barker, do I think he's one of the greatest writers? No, but he's still a good writer that was just a bit overhyped when he came out in the mid-80s. I will say his short fiction is a lot better than his full-length novels. As I stated earlier, I find he puts too much filler into the stories, slow pacing which becomes a chore just to get through the story. The other thing about Clive is when I read the synopsis on his novels, they sound really interesting, but when I read the novel itself, it just isn't that engaging like the synopsis makes it to be. I'm not saying that Clive needs to write in a fast-paced style, which I dislike a lot because it's very sloppy, with the author not taking his or her time and rushing through it just to reach the end of the story. All I'm saying is I'm fine with a slow start, but towards the middle of the novel, the author should move the pace up a bit, so when the story gets really interesting, then it makes the person who's reading it want to keep going rather than putting it down because they get bored of it. Now that I'm done with Books of Blood, Volumes 1 to 3, am I still going to read more from Clive Barker? Yes. I would like to check out The Great and Secret Show, as that sounds interesting, along with Imaja. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. I might reread Reveal, as I don't remember much from reading it. And as for Books of Blood, I would like to own Volume 1 because it was the best out of the other 2 volumes, and I do plan on reading Books of Blood Volumes 4 and 6 to see if Clive has any other good short stories that I might like. So that's it for the review today. Hope you all enjoyed it, and don't forget to check out my Facebook group, October Library, a place where you can post, share, and review fiction. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again with my next video soon. Bye.